Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi and a very good day, everyone. For this week's lesson, you, I'll be demonstrating you all, and you can practice after this, the non-parametric test, which will cover man with you, Wallis, Wilcox test, and of course the chi-square test. Okay, so um, first of all, let's look at the man and Whitney Q test. Okay, it is actually the counterpart to the independent T test. The Wilcox test serves as a counterpart to paired T test. Wallis is the counterpart to ANOVA, while chi-square does not have any parametric counterpart, but it is used to compare um, frequencies between group, while man, Whitney, Will, Wilcoxon, and of course Wallis is used to compare means. Last week we did the parametric test. This week we are going to do the non-parametric test. One major difference for parametric and non-parametric tests is that parametric test, the number one condition, the number one syarat is that your data needs to be normally distributed. If somewhere somehow you do the normality test of your data and you found that it is not normally distributed, then you go for any of the non-parametric tests as you see on your screen here. Okay. So the first demonstration will be about doing the man-Whitney test. Okay, how do you do that? First, go into your SPSS. Hopefully, you still keep this file that we've been using since day one. All right, do the analysis. You may go to Analyze, go to Non-Parametric Tests, and under Legacy Dialogs, go to Tool Independent Samples. This is the option to do man with needs to test. Okay. All right. So for demonstration purposes, I will be demonstrating using gender because the condition for two tests and of course man Whitney is you are going to compare means of two groups. So based on our survey, the only demographic information that has two entities are gender. Okay. The other entities like ethnicity, negeri mana you asal, highest education obtained, and income groups, they are more uh, than two groups. So we can't do men with new with test, but we will do Kruskal Wallis later on. Okay. So similarly to the independent t test variable list is what are the dependent variables that we wish to evaluate. In this case, um, the dependent variable yang hakiki sebenarnya ialah behavior intention, but sekiranya dalam study ini kita ada objektif uh, untuk nilai mean score antara attitude frozen food dan juga attitude was usage of frozen food, kita boleh juga masukkan. So saya demonstrate tiga-tiga sekali lah. Take all three and put them into test variable list. Pick gender jantina and move into the grouping variables. Similarly, like independent test, you need to define uh, one represents male and two represents female. Okay. So man with is chosen. See descriptive, you can exclude descriptive and let SPSS run. Okay, this is the result of the man with these tests. You will need to extract the important information and put them into the appropriate table. If you look closely at this table, at the first table here, there is no lower and upper value unlike the t-test. There's only mean ranks. Okay, here for frozen attitude tools. And of course, the mean rank between males and females. The same can be seen for attitudes, usage of frozen ready-to-eat food, as well as behavior intention. So on the second table, we can see here the man with the score, uh, the z-score statistic, and of course the p-value. These three, these these three are the most important values that we will need to report on the table, which I'll show you momentarily. Yes, as you can see in this Word document, this is a example of a table um, that is suitable to be used inside an easy write-up. As you can see here, list of variables that we are comparing, the amount of uh, males on the first group, and the mean rank score, I can call them, followed by female rank score in the third column. Next is the man with the value, fourth column, and this is followed by the standardized test statistic or the z value, and lastly the p value. So how do we interpret the result, let's say for attitude towards frozen ready-to-eat food? See, we report the mean rank for male 41.32. Well, in the bracket, how many males answered the quest? How many males give their rating? Same goes to female. And you report the men with the U value, and lastly the standardized test statistics z score of negative 0.898. So we look at the p value for attitude towards frozen food. It's 0.369, which is more than 0.05. So in a null hypothesis, we predict that there is no significant difference was attitude was the attitude of frozen ready-to-eat food among male and female. So if that's the null hypothesis, we cannot reject it. So we write here the null hypothesis is not rejected as the p-value is 0.36, which is above 0.05. In the event that the p-value is below 0.05, only then we can reject the null hypothesis, and we state that there is significant difference of the mean score in attitude towards frozen ready-to-eat food between males and females. This case is not significant, and this is how we can report it. Okay, there is no significant difference between males. Put in the mean rank value, and of course how many answered, followed by female, same thing. Pertaining to the score of attitude towards frozen ready-to-eat food, dalam kurungan, p value, U stands for men with the value, and lastly followed by the z value. Okay, so that's how you would conclude and interpret the findings for the men with the U test was attitude towards frozen ready-to-eat food. Okay, um, you wish to if you wish to report the findings for attitudes to the usage of frozen ready-to-eat food and behavior intention, same formula applies. The only difference is you will need to put in the appropriate values from the table. Okay. And for more information about and with the U, we could click on this link. Let me show you. Okay, this is the video. It's by Stat Hands. You can search it on YouTube. This is the style that you can follow. Okay. The only difference is the the author of this video conduct the man-Whitney test using a different approach. He didn't use show you what the author of the website did was analyze the man-Whitney through independent samples instead of legacy dialogues. See if I can straight for you because when I did Kruskal-Wallis, the analysis cannot run, probably because it's the correct version. But this is the interface. So to run man-Whitney from this feature, you will need to click on settings and man-Whitney. Set everything, gender on groups, and then bring in key variables here. Click run. Okay, from the looks of it, uh, I or any of you who are using version 18 cannot run this test, so most likely it's the correct problem. But if you wish to see how the analysis is done, you can watch a later video on Kruskal-Wallis, or if any of you who are fortunate to use a different version than version 18, you can practice running the non-parametric test through the independent sample once you've um, once you've experimented using the legacy dialogues but functions. Okay. All right. For the second analysis, I will be demonstrating how to do um, the Wisconsin test, which is the non-parametric rival or counterpart for the PET test, like we did last week, in which we compared uh, customers' perception towards ready-to-eat food before the purchase and after purchase. Okay, in other words, um, the PET test or the Wisconsin test is used to compare mean score in the same group in the condition that the first set of data is the preliminary stage or the before stage, say before doing exercise, or the second set of data, the weight of of the respondents after the exercise for 1 month. So that is uh, post intervention or uh, post scenario data. Okay, so but in this case, we will be seeing the attitudes of customers, the perception before they eat uh, frozen pea food and after. Okay, similar to the approach is similar to last week. The only differences is we used a different. Um, we have to use a different function. It's under non-parametric tests, legacy dialogues. So the non-parametric variant is under two related samples. So this is where we do the Wisconsin uh, test. See, as you can see, interface is similar to that of a PET test like we did last week. So similar to last week, bring in before purchase and variable 2 after purchase. Make sure the Wisconsin box is ticked. See this descriptive. You can include descriptives. Click OK. PSS will generate this table. Okay. All right. Similar to men with knee, Wilcoxon Wilcoxon science tests also use the mean rank approach. Okay, as you can see, So pay attention to um, the mean rank values as well as the z and the p value. So because these are the value that we will use to report our findings. Okay, you can see on the screen here the result of the week's Wilcoxon test. This one way you can report it. If you don't like this way, you can follow another way of reporting. But well, you kena rajin lah untuk buka thesis dan juga research paper untuk tengok orang punya different style of reporting non-parametric or parametric test. Okay, so apa yang kita kumpul kat sini? Okay, variables are the perception score before purchase, what is the mean rank, and after purchase, what is the mean rank. Similar to bandwidthing, we also report the z value as well as the key value. So based on the value on this table, apa yang kita boleh conclude? Statistical decision would be the null hypothesis is rejected as the p-value is below 0.001. Okay? Meaning there is a significant difference of the perception score before and after the purchase. And after the purchase of frozen ready to eat food. Okay, in this case, if the data represents your class, you can say that the perception of students in K1, K2, um, in the class of STM 3117 was ready to eat food. The first before and after they purchase ready to eat food. Okay, and maybe conclude that one possibility is that the perception is high because the perception before purchase is high because maybe the way the box is packaged. But once the students open up, cook the food and eat it, the perceptions drop because the taste is different or the appearance inside the box is not the same in the covered box. Okay, so that is contoh lah how you can describe it. Okay, so you can report that the mean between before purchase and after purchase of frozen ready to eat food are statistically different. Report the p value as well as z value, and also you report it is observed that the mean rank for before purchase ready to eat food is higher compared to after purchase of ready to eat food. In this case, you compare the situation before is higher um, compared to the situation after you've consumed ready to eat food. Kalau contoh lain misalnya sebelum exercise berat tinggi, tapi lepas bulan setelah exercise berat akan rendah. Okay, just report, just state what is the scenario before and what is the scenario after, as well as their respective values. Okay, sama saja with apa macam we report PET test minggu lepas. Okay, we'll now proceed to the next analysis, which is the Cusco-Wallace test, or the non-parametric variation of one-way ANOVA, which we will compare the mean score of a particular variable between 3 or more groups. Okay, so for this demonstration, I'll be showing you how you can compare means group through various income groups. Okay, so various income groups ada banyak sikit, ada 6 kumpulan. Okay, so what you do is bring the attitude, your usage and behavior intention into the test variable, while the grouping you ambil anggaran pendapatan or estimated income. Cuma just nak remind you, For Kruskal-Wallis dia tak sama macam ANOVA. ANOVA dia dah automatically set value. For Kruskal-Wallis kita kena setkan value dia sebelum kita run. Kalau kita tak set value, dia tak akan run. The value is 1, the maximum 6. Tapi let's say katakan you tak ingat, you lupa, aku labelingkan group ada berapa? 6 ke 7 ke? Tak ada masalah, kita cancel dulu. Pergi ke variable view and pergi ke anggaran pendapatan. So based on this kita ada 6. So kita kena set di situ minimum is 1, maximum is 6. Okay, kita pergi balik ke data view dan juga analyze. Okay, K independent samples. So this is what this function is. Okay. Anggaran pendapatan. Find 6. Okay, lepas ni you boleh cuba eksperimen guna anything yang ada 3 group yang lain. Misalnya bangsa, ethnicity, negeri asal you all. Ini rasanya banyak sikit lah. Ini paling rendah 1 represent Perlis and 14 represent Sabah Sarawak. Besides that, apa lagi you boleh guna untuk compare? Maybe you boleh compare tahap pendidikan tinggi sebab based on the survey ada 3 group which is STM, Diploma STM and Bachelor's Degree. Okay. Right, so proceed pada demonstration berkaitan dengan pecahan income groups ni. So klik pada sini, Kruskal-Wallis option. Descriptive, you boleh choose descriptive. Okay. So it will generate this table. Okay. So values yang penting sebenarnya ialah untuk Kruskal-Wallis sebenarnya ada dalam table yang bawah ni. Table atas ni penting seandainya kita buat post hoc. Meaning post hoc ni berguna seandainya kita buat analisis dan kita dapati ada beberapa group yang signifikan different dia. Misalnya contoh, kalau berdasarkan result ni tak signifikan lah. Katakan the attitude, behavior intention, dia punya mean dia ketara antara less than 150 dan between 150 to 990. Dia akan keluar, kalau ANOVA dia akan keluarlah significant value-nya. Tapi pada peringkat asalnya kita tak tahu dia which group are significant. It is only through the post hoc yang ANOVA generate baru kita tahu. Tapi pandangkan result yang keluar ni dia tak significant. So table yang pertama ni boleh kata really that important sangatlah. Yeah. But let's see how can we report the findings of Kruskal-Wallis test. Berbeza sikit dengan cara one way ANOVA minggu lepas. Kita cuma report, okay, let's say attitude thoughtful zone, kita cuma report between groups, kita tak report within groups. So, kita tengok sini berapa bezanya. X2 ialah chi-square value and of course the p-value. Tulis kat sini. The Kruskal-Wallis test indicate that there was no statistically significant difference between income group towards the attitude course, the attitude of frozen ready to eat food scores. Okay, dah betul dah. Okay, all these tests indicate that no uh, there were no statistically okay, maaf gangguan. Okay. Okay, where were we just now? Okay, the two-score Wallis test indicate that there were no statistically significant difference between some groups, and attitude uh, was frozen ready to eat food scores. Okay, dalam this two-score Wallis, you report um, the chi-square value dalam kurungannya. What is the DF value? And the N value. The N value refers to berapa orang yang jawab survey you. Okay. Right. Put the DF and the N value inside the bracket, and then baru report the chi-square value, and of course the P level. In this case, frozen attitude for frozen food is 0.309, which is not significant. Okay. Okay, kalau you nak report attitude towards usage and brilliant tension, boleh guna formula yang sama, tetapi sama juga make sure value chi-square, DF value, N kekal sama, sebab survey ni tetap 95 orang yang jawab. Okay, cuma ubah DF value, chi-square, the X2 value, and of course the P value. Okay. Now, sama juga dengan ANOVA, kita tak perlu report post hoc test sekiranya result shows no significant between all groups, whether it's between 3 groups, 5 groups, 10 group. Kalau tak signifikan, satu tak signifikan, tak payah proceed pada post hoc. Okay. Right. For more, kalau you nak tahu dengan lebih lanjut tentang Kuska Wallis, boleh klik pada video yang pertama ni. Sekejap saya tunjuk videonya. So, ni juga daripada Stat Hands. Tengok cara dia lapor Kuska Wallis macam mana. Kes ni dia bandingkan student yang pandai yang kurang pandai dan diajar oleh cikgu. Siapa yang boleh dapat skor yang lebih tinggi. Dan kalau ikutkan p-value, tak ada apa-apa significant difference lah between group. Skor dia orang sama saja. Okay. You can watch this video. Berminat untuk tahu lebih lanjut, balik pada screen kita tadi. Since value ni tak significant, kita no point lah buat post hoc test. Okay. Tapi andai kata any one of these ada significant values, kita boleh juga buat post hoc test untuk Kuska Wallis. Tetapi dia punya proses agak rumit sikit banding ANOVA. And of course, masa saya cuba demonstrate kat you all tadi function independent sample tu untuk main with ni tadi, dia keluar error message kan. So sadly through komputer yang saya guna untuk rakam video ni, saya tak dapat tunjuk. Tetapi just to share dengan you all, di computer office apabila saya guna function untuk tengok post hoc tu, saya boleh buat analisis tu, tetapi apabila nak klik kepada function yang post hoc tu untuk tahu group mana yang signifikan, kita boleh tengok mean difference between individual subgroup. Misalnya kita boleh compare income group yang bawah 1,500 dengan katakan 4,000 hingga 5,000. Function independence sample tu dia tak bagi buat. Dia tak bagi tunjuk. Maksudnya function dalam independent sample tu hanya akan tunjuk post hoc result dengan syarat salah satu pada result tu signifikan. Kalau yang tak signifikan, dia memang tak bother untuk do post hoc test. Okay. Those who are fortunate yang boleh buat post hoc test ni boleh tengok video yang kedua ni. Sekejap saya share, saya buka link dia ya. This video is by Stickpad. Perhatikan sekali lagi, dia akan guna function independent sample yang saya tak dapat tunjuk ni. Function 18 ni problem. Keluar result. Okay, tapi tak apa, kita tengok video macam mana dia buat. Okay, so result dia akan generate lebih kurang macam ni. Dia akan bagi tahu significant atau tak significant. Kalau p value dia tinggi, decision dia akan keluar do not reject null hypothesis. Tapi dalam contoh yang dibagi oleh Stickpad ni, dia punya significant value is below 0.001, meaning significant lah. So that's why dia kena reject null hypothesis dia. Okay. Okay, see, dia double click and then baru dia keluar a model viewer screen ni lah. Okay, tengok balik ya, dia klik pairwise comparison. Okay. Pairwise comparison option ni hanya akan available kalau dengan syarat p value dia adalah rendah, meaning below 0.5. Kalau dia punya value p value dia above 0.5, pairwise comparison function ni tak akan muncul. And pairwise comparison ni lah result post hoc yang kita nak lah untuk ni. Kita extract and laporkan. Okay. Sama macam post hoc untuk ANOVA. Dia highlight mana subgroup yang mean score dia significantly difference over berbeza. Okay. Itu adalah contoh Kruskal-Wallis H test with post hoc. Sekali saya ulang, post hoc ni hanya akan muncul dalam model viewer kiranya salah ada satu subgroup tu dia punya p value dia 0. below 0.05. Kalau tak ada, dia memang tak boleh view. Okay. Alright. For the fourth final analysis this lesson, kita akan buat chi-square test ya untuk test to compare frequencies between two and more groups. Okay. Just a quick footnote on when you do chi-square test is when you want to compare two variables which are nominal in nature. Means kalau contoh saya nak tunjuk kat sini, saya nak tunjuk adakah orang yang berbeza income ni, adakah dia punya pattern of consuming ready to eat food dia berbeza. Adakah orang yang low income, adakah dia akan kurang makan ready to eat food as opposed to orang yang income dia 6,000 ke atas. Okay. And besides income, you juga boleh eksperimen dengan adakah lelaki dan perempuan dia punya frequency of consuming ready to eat food tu berbeza. Adakah perempuan makan lagi banyak frozen food ataupun lelaki makan lagi sikit. The same can be done kalau you nak compare frequencies of ready to eat food consumption amongst bangsa ethnicity and also amongst people in different states. Adakah orang Terengganu ni kurang makan ready to eat food as opposed to orang di Perak? Okay. Alright. So secara kesimpulannya dalam chi-square test ni kita kena test between nominal and nominal data or categorical versus categorical data. Okay, kita tak compare nominal katakan dengan dengan skill ataupun mean score. Kita tak buat macam tu. Okay. So saya proceed dengan contoh yang saya nak tunjuk ni ya. Kita ambil different income groups against how frequent do you consume ready to eat food. Okay. Lepas demonstration ni, you boleh eksperimen sendiri, katakan dengan tahap pendidikan, negeri asal, etnisiti dan juga jantina. So under descriptive statistik, pergi ke cross tabulations. Saya dah masuk semua, tak apa. Kita reset. Masukkan. Anggaran pendapatan. Rows. Columns. Kita masuk berkerap anda makan. statistik, you pergi ke chi-square. Cuma saya nak beritahu you all, function cross step ataupun chi-square analysis ni, kalau you nak buat correlation terus pun boleh. Okay. Cuma kalau saya akan demonstrate chi-square saja, tetapi lepas saya demonstrate, saya akan tunjuk contoh andai kata you nak report correlation. Selalunya kalau orang buat correlation, diorang akan ambil correlation dan diorang akan laporkan value P dan juga chromback alpha. Tapi apa itu kita tengok nanti macam mana orang lapor. Kita just go for the basic. Kita nak tengok chi-square chi-square value. Continue. Click OK. So ini adalah breakdown the cost tabulation result, as you can see kat sini. Bagi orang yang kategori, sorry saya silap tadi, saya sepatutnya dia ada percentage sekali. Ya. If tabulation, kita buat lagi sekali. Cell. Okay, kita ambil percentage column. Baru keluar the end value as well as the percentage value. Okay. Kita boleh tengok each of the income category berapa kerap diorang beli ataupun consume ready to eat food ni. Rata-rata tumpu pada tengah-tengah lah. Ataupun seldom, jarang-jarang. Bagus. In a way, baguslah kepada you all ni. Jarang-jarang makan seldom ready to eat food. You all lebih prefer makanan yang freshly made. I don't know, wallahu alam. But from this table, your group ni macam seldom ataupun never makan frozen ready to eat food ni. Tapi tak apalah, you all dah belajar basic food prep, belajar commercial. So gunakanlah skill tu untuk masak ya. Janganlah makan janganlah bantai ready to eat food tu sepanjang masa. Okay, tak apa. So the important thing to look from this table are the end value as well as the frequency value for each of the categories ni. Since never, sehinggalah more than twice a week. Skala yang diguna dalam questionnaire kita. Okay. And lagi satu benda yang important untuk take note adalah chi-square value under Pearson chi-square value yang ada A, the value as well as the P value. So how do we report information from these two tables? Let's see. Okay, so this is one way how you can report findings. The first table, the frequency of frozen ready-to-eat food among the different income groups. Income groups ada kat sini, kita ada 6. And column on the right, how often do you buy frozen ready-to-eat meals? Daripada never sampailah more than twice a week. Kita laporkan the end value as well as the percentage. All this information comes from the table. And the second table, you can see here, is the chi-square test result. In this case, the cross tabulation and the chi-square analysis involving different income groups versus the frequency of consumption of ready-to-eat food. P value kita dapat T above 0.05. So secara automatically result kita tak significant lah. So one way reporting ni kita boleh tengok sekarang ni. The first table kita cerita the table access showcase the cross tabulation for the consumption of the consumption frequency of frozen ready-to-eat food. Table Y further illustrates the chi-square test between income groups and frequency of consumption. Analysis yielded a chi-square value of 3.089 with p-value of below 0.8. Sorry, a p-value of 0.82. Thus, there is no significant difference in the frequency of frozen ready-to-eat food consumption amongst different group. So tak signifikan lah. Kalau signifikan, sama saja, just report the value of the p-value-nya berapa and kata there is significant difference in the frequency of frozen ready-to-eat food among each of the uh, different income groups. Okay, in this case tidak signifikan. Alright, so that is the bare minimum kalau you nak report chi-square. So if you choose to go beyond, you nak go the extra mile and nak laporkan correlation, yang ni saya kena buka thesis dan juga paper publication sekejap ya. Okey kelas, perhatikan contoh yang saya tunjuk kat sini. Okey. Table 4.5 is a cross tabulation of nasi kandar consumption among Langberry and Penang respondents. Sama juga macam tadi. Nasi kandar, berapa kekerapan makan nasi kandar dalam seminggu, once a week, 2 to 4, 5 to 7, and more than 7. And then the frequency percentage dibahagikan dua antara orang di Klang Valley dan juga penduduk Penang. So, cara penulisannya macam ni. Okay, table 4.5 shows the summary of the frequency of nasi kandar consumption among Klang Valley and Penang customers. So, kita report frequency orang KL Klang Valley paling tinggi makan apa? Seminggu sekali. As opposed to orang Penang. Di report sini 47% will consume it once a week. Tapi yang consume it more than 2 times a week, kalau kita accumulate kan 43, 6% and 1.8, meaning those who consume it more than 2 times far outnumber those who consume it once a week. Report the frequency first, berdasarkan table 4.5. And then when we go to the chi-square analysis, perhatikan sini, show the result the chi-square and correlation test between the regions of ni. Abaikan yang marital status. Tumpukan perhatian you kepada between region and frequency of nasi kandar consumption. Okay, tengok ni. The analysis between region and frequency yielded a chi-square value of 2.300 with a p-value of below and a Chromos V value of 0.27. This shows a significant but moderate relationship. Okay, Chromos V value ni dia ada skalanya. Cuma yang boleh saya kongsi, kalau value dia 0.1 hingga 0.3 dikira sebagai 0.1 hingga 0.2 weak. Kalau 0.2 ke atas hingga 0.5, tak silap saya moderate. Anything above 0.5 kira, anything above 0.6 dikira strong lah. Okay. So this is one contoh in a thesis. You report chi-square analysis, and based on this thesis, the writer went the extra mile of doing correlation analysis and reporting the Famous V score to test the strength of the relationship between uh, those in different region and how often do they consume nasi kandar. Okay. Um, you may wonder how will you report such finding inside a journal. Okay, let me show you how this finding is reported in the format of a journal. Yeah. Okay, class. All right, look at nasi kandar consumption on how it is reported inside a journal using chi-square cross tabulation as well as doing correlation. Okay, perhatikan this section. Okay, ni sama juga macam thesis tadi. Yang where dia consume berapa berapa kerap dia makan, minggu sekali, 2 hingga 4 minggu sekali, and juga compare dengan uh, customer yang di Penang. Right, these are the values. Okay, saya akan bawa you ke bawah pula. Zoom sikit. Perhatikan this paragraph. Okay, focus your attention of this section. Okay, katakan situ based on the information yang dalam uh, table tadi, Klang Valley patrons consume nasi kandar once a week. Only 46.7% of Penang stated that will consume nasi kandar once a week. In total, those who consume nasi kandar more than 2 times a week record shows that there was significant but moderate relationship between patrons' region and frequency of nasi kandar consumption. Perhatikan final line ni. Thus, this suggests that patrons in Penang would consume nasi kandar more often than their Klang Valley counterparts. Okay, this is one way how you conclude the findings of the chi-square analysis. Okay, chi-square analysis. Follow it up with a uh, correlation test use measuring through Kramer's V. Okay. Another example, sekejap saya cari. Sorry, before we proceed, saya lupa nak tunjuk kat you the core where the value of the chi-square and the chi-square p value as well as the Kramer's v value is. Okay. Okay, for frequency of consumption dia dekat sini. Okay. Inilah value yang digunakan untuk lapor apa dalam paragraf yang bawah ada. Okay, another example of doing the cross tabulation chi-square. Look at table 5 and table 6. These are the commonly selected pairing dish or lao between customer in Klang Valley versus in Penang. For table 6 shows the chi-square value and the p value. Okay, and of course the Kramer's v value. Because this paper also reports the correlationship value. Okay, let's go. Apa if you nak hadam value-value penting, you boleh pause. Cuba tengok. But I am going to proceed down to bottom page because that's where the write up is. Okay. Perhatikan kat sini. How the write up is. Okay. Commonly selected pairing dishes. Okay. Start kat sini. First kita lapor group A ataupun Klang Valley lebih tinggi makan apa. So in this case, lapor orang di Lembah Kelang shows a much higher selection for apa? Chicken korma, lamb curry, chicken chili sauce, beef in chili sauce, chicken soy sauce, fried chicken, fried long beans, cabbage and dal. Pergi ke atas, tengok orang Penang kan apa pula? Orang Penang tends to eat more korma, beef korma, beef curry, fish curry, beef in soy sauce, fish roll, fried squid. Generally, orang Penang tends to eat more seafood based as compared to orang KL. Okay. Look at the third paragraph. Baru kita laporkan p-value as well as the Kramer's p-value, and di sini kena chi-square dia. Chi-square analysis information show a significant peak for the following items. Dan based on the value yang di highlight ke sini, you boleh conclude that based on the chi-square analysis of all the values yang ada di table 5 dan juga 6, boleh kita kurang macam ni. It can be said that Klang Valley patrons have the tendency to choose the following dish compared to their Penang counterparts: chicken korma, chicken in chili sauce, beef in chili sauce, and fried long beans. Because these food, kita kena tengok p-value dia berapa dan juga comparekan berapa frekuensi yang dipilih lah oleh Klang Valley. Okay, kita contoh, kita tengok chicken korma. Chicken korma dia punya p-value dia 0.16. Kita tengok sini, Klang Valley 35 yang makan as opposed to 19. So the n value apabila kita compare, kita support dengan p value with Kramer's value and chi-square. So kita boleh conclude di sini lah. It is statistically significant that there is a difference between there's a difference in chicken korma consumption between Klang Valley customers and Penang customers. Okay. So that's one contoh untuk orang KL. Kita ambil contoh orang Penang pula. Okay. Kata, Penang patrons on the other hand has the tendency to choose the following dishes: fish curry, squid eggs, boiled eggs, fried fish dan juga kacang bendi. Okay, jom kita tengok value kacang bendi. Tengok dia punya p-value dia tak rendah. Dia punya chi-square pun tinggi, quite big, 11.25. Now, compare contrast dengan dia punya frekuensi. KL hanya 41, while Penang 69. So that's why dia punya ni p-value quite low, walaupun the strength of the relationship dia tak begitu kuat. Okay. Right. So with that, come to the so itulah contoh on how you report chi-square results in your thesis as well as in paper. And as you can see in the example, if you wish to do extra, in this case reporting the correlationship. Ya, saya tunjuk balik dalam SPSS kat mana. Okay, for the sake of demonstration, pergi ke cost tabulation. Chi-square, okay. So kalau you nak lepas chi-square, just tick the chi-square box. Tapi kalau you nak chi-square with correlations, you tick correlations and P and Kramer's B value. Okay, klik analysis, akan keluarlah. Ini sama dengan tadi, cuma kita kena tengok Kramer's B value. In this case is 0.2. And if you wish to report Kramer's V value, all you need to do is add another column. V, add lah. Dia punya nilai berapa? 2.77 kah? Bukan, 2.22. So that's chi-square test. Bear in mind that the bare minimal you need to report is the chi-square value as well as the p value. Compare it to the frequency cross tabulation table, like you see, as you can see in the table above, in table X. Okay. Only include Kramer's V if you wish to do correlation tests through the cross tabulation function. Okay. If you wish to do it separately, do not include Kramer's V. Instead, use the function for Pearson or Spearman correlationship. Okay. All right. So that basically covers this week's lesson on non-parametric tests. Okay. All right. For the next 2 weeks, you will be back with Dr. Nohayati, if I'm mistaken, and she will be covering analysis using Minitab. Okay, and after her 2 weeks, you'll be coming back with me, and we will be finished. We will cover lesson plan. Okay, week 10 and 11 with Dr. Hayati, you will be back with me on week 12. We will cover inferential statistics, which involves reliability and validity using Chrome by Alpha, and of course, the Pearson and Spearman correlation shape test. Okay. Week 13, we will have one final practice session before we do the practical test on the final week, which is week 14. Okay. All right. So that's basically it for this week's class. You can watch the video, pause at any section, or rewind to any section that you wish to get. An explanation. Okay. This section, I mean, is a bit tough. You will need to watch it several times. But if you have any questions to ask me, anything you wish me to clarify with you, feel free to contact me, and I will try my best to answer your inquiry. Okay. All right. So that will be all for this week. Thank you all for watching. Inshallah, we'll see each other again on week 12. Okay. Week 12 for the practical, but we will be You will be with me for the theory part on. Oh, okay, you'll be with me uh for the theory part beginning next week, week 11. So we cover uh week 11 until week 14 for research method in food service. Involves observation and survey. Okay, which means we'll be together towards the end until the end of the semester. Okay, 4 weeks of lecture for theory part and another two two sessions for lab class. Okay, right. Uh, Inshallah, we'll try to cover everything before the final, and hopefully by the end of this course, you will be able to apply what you have learned for these subjects in your PITA, um, in your PITA project beginning next on the second exam. Okay, hope you benefited uh, from the lessons that me, Dr. Asma, and Dr. Hayati has given you. Whatever path you choose, whether it be nutrition, food science, or maybe food service, that'll be entirely up to you to chart your own path. We, as lecturers, will only be here to facilitate and guide you. But at the end of the day, you choose which path you want to walk down to when it comes to research. Okay. All right. That'll be all for this week's class. Yeah, we'll meet. We'll meet soon in the theory class next week, uh, as well as the final lab session in 2 weeks' time, inshallah. Okay. Till then, have a pleasant day and assalamualaikum warahmatullah.